What if trusting yourself was the key to every single thing that you want in your life, in your work? Today's Quantum Shift podcast guest, Dawn Leday, asks that question of her clients. She's an executive coach, author, and host of her very own podcast. She talks about the self-trust solution, where she helps entrepreneurs and business leaders just like you to trust themselves. It was a pleasure having her on the podcast. I think you're going to really enjoy her strategic approach to allowing yourself to finally trust yourself and to see what magic can come from your life on the other end of self-trust. Enjoy. Welcome to the podcast, Dawn. Thank you so much for your patience, time, and effort. We had some technical difficulties as we were getting started there, but I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. And I'm going to start off wherever you would like to start off, but it's really about, tell us about the origin of your work, because I find it absolutely fascinating when you talk about self-trust. What is it, or what was it in you that got you to this point on the sort of self-trust mission?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Like many people who are passionate and mission driven about something, I experienced a profound moment where I really saw the lack of self trust in my life and I knew something had to change. So that origin story is all about me being a high achiever and working to always reach for higher levels in my career, which for me ended up being in the hospitality industry, leading sales and marketing teams for various arms of the hospitality industry in New Orleans, but the final decade or so in hotels. And so I loved to overwork.
Could be dangerous though, overworking, right?
Wasn't a problem for me for a really long time. But there was a point towards the end of that career that I recognized that it was not working for me anymore. I was the shell of a human. Like, I honestly could spend amazing time with friends, and everything that came out of my mouth was about work. I was boring myself with these conversations. My friend will never admit this, but I went on a vacation. It was my first time being invited to kind of this special trip she did every year. And I mean, I will never be invited again, and I will never blame her for that.
Isn't that the worst when you have that hindsight and you're like, oh my goodness, all I did was complain.
I mean, or just talk. It wasn't even always complaining. Towards the end, it probably was more complaining if I think about it honestly. But it just was, everything that came out of my mouth was about work, as if I wasn't a human outside of work, as if I had no value outside of work. So when I started to recognize that and really see the downfall of the path I had been taken, I realized that something had to change. And I had this, what I thought was a brilliant moment, where I was going to sell my car, and not just a woman of action. So I didn't just think this, I did it. Not
Well, what was the turnaround time between thinking and doing? Was that like a day?
a month, within like a week, like
Really?
literally. Yes. So I was going to sell my car, not for financial reasons, but because I wanted to go to work at a normal time and leave work at a normal time and move my body more, because I literally was chained to a desk and eating all the time. And so I sold my car, and that would mean normal hours, right? Because I live in New Orleans, and while it's amazing and bustling and full of awesome energy, it's great walks. There are parts of town that I would have to walk through
Little
that
shady. Yeah.
were just quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
Quiet's terrifying. Yeah.
Quiet is sometimes
In a bustling city,
terrifying.
when it's quiet, something bad is going on.
Exactly. So I was like, this is great. This is what I'm going to do. And, if it rains, I can take the streetcar. How lovely, like a streetcar, I'm in that part of New Orleans. It's amazing. So I do this, and on one of those walks, it's 2 miles to work, 2 miles home, obviously.
That's
And
a really
so
substantial walk.
yeah,
Please tell me you were wearing sneakers while you were doing this. You weren't.
no, I am not that smart.
Come on. Wait, so you're wearing your work shoes and you're walking 2 miles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, many times I'm wearing Christian Louboutin combat boots that are heeled. Yeah. Yeah, vanity over intelligence sometimes was definitely a key. I worked in the French Quarter for a long time, and I used to live there too, and I would walk the whole 12 blocks of the French Quarter in 3-inch heels. So this wasn't new for me, but I'm also known to vacuum with heels on. It's fine.
Careful, you're gonna get weird mail from people that are watching this.
Don't send me weird mail. So during one of those walks, in inappropriate shoes,
Yeah, yeah.
I have this question that pops up in my brain that is the impetus to all of my work, basically. And it was simply, why are you having to force yourself to work normal hours and move your body? And with that,
Interesting. I gotta like let that sit for a second because I think a lot of people don't do that. They don't ask themselves, why are they doing this bizarre behavior? Why have they gotten this far? Do you think it was just like a breaking point for you? Like, what do you think it was that made you ask that question? Was it just too many years of doing the insane thing?
maybe, I mean, I couldn't ignore it. I don't really know how to explain it. Maybe it's divine wisdom. I have no idea. But it was a question I couldn't ignore. And the answer wasn't just a simple answer, it was a flood of images of my whole adult life, of decisions that I'd made and rash actions and inactions that were all evidence of a lack of self. And again, couldn't be ignored. And I just knew there had to be a better way. And I knew very, very clearly that I didn't want to stop reaching for new levels. I didn't want to stop being what I consider about myself to be what, most people would call high achiever. I didn't want to stop any of that, but I did want to stop doing it at the expense of me
Yeah.
and my relationship with myself and my relationship with others.
So is that how you got to the term self-trust being sort of central to your brand? Like, how do you personally define self-trust, and why is that? Just because you felt empowerment in that? You're kind of like, hey, I'm smart. I've got this great job, but how come I can't control the boundaries of what's going on in my life? Why don't I just trust my gut here? Is it trusting your gut?
No, I mean, at the moment, I would say probably what I considered, I know a lot more now, but at the moment, what I considered self trust was being able to make decisions for me and to follow through on those, to be closer to my truth and what I want, because there was a lot of external. It was trying to get other people to trust me, trying to follow what other people would be impressed by or like or find, impressive. And that wasn't enough. Like that, or that was okay. What I know now is that we want those things, and there's nothing wrong with wanting them, but needing them quiets our own inner wisdom and we start chasing it.
Oh, that's such a good point. I like that. Yeah. Wanting them and then needing them. So do you feel like that there was like a moment earlier on where you switched, where you previously trusted your gut and yourself and then that went away? Or you feel like your career was always not trusting yourself, trying to please others, and then all of a sudden this switched on? Like, was there an exact moment where you were like, this, I don't know, where you kind of got sucked into the machine, right? Like, you're working at these in hospitality at these nice hotels in New Orleans. I feel like that's a pretty easy machine to get sucked into, you know?
We all have, and I certainly do have had a level of self-trust that believe it's where courage shows up. So I have a lot of courage. I have a lot of jump before you look in me. I'm a leaper, like truly.
Yeah.
And I don't need to know that there's a soft landing place at all. I would say that's one of my I don't know, attributes. I wouldn't call it definitely, not sure if it's a flaw or a feature, but it's definitely one of my
It's
attributes.
just a thing. It's just a thing.
Exactly. But so there is always self-trust in all of us. The thing is that it is impacted by our experiences and what we end up turning to. So can I pinpoint an exact moment? I can pinpoint a million of them where it was eroded very not maliciously in any way by, experiences, other people and myself, but it happens. Like take the simplest example of sitting, with your friend, that very impressionable age when you're younger and you share that you really like something and your friend's like, "Oh, that's gross."
Yeah.
And you kind of tune in. You're like, wait, is it like, am I wrong for thinking that it's good?
Yeah. All of a sudden you're questioning yourself. Yeah.
And that questioning builds the older we get, especially as we are reaching for. This is why I find it so fascinating in leaders and entrepreneurs, because these are high achievers like myself. And the further you reach,
Yeah.
the higher your aspirations and your dreams, the more questions are going to show up, right? And so that insecurity can be fed or it can be, starved or answered.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an important conversation to have. So you realize, why aren't I trusting myself? Why do I have to force myself into this situation of selling my car to walk to work to get, some moments of peace, really, I feel like is what you were looking for, is like alone time to like nurture yourself. You knew you were getting some fitness, you were moving your body, but it might have become a little bit dangerous. Then what do you do? What did you do after that?
That realization, when that flood of examples of a lack of self-trust came in, I started working on it. I started looking at what would it mean to really trust myself? What would be the difference between operating the way I have been and introducing self-trust? And in the beginning, that just meant tuning in more. And what I recognized for myself, so I'm still working. I've started an LLC like a year before with no idea what I was going to do with it. Again,
Yeah.
I'm a leaper, right?
Yeah.
I know I am going to.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, that's getting moved up. I still don't know what it is, but we're just going to do that. So we're going to start working our way out, but also starting to really pay attention and start to try and build this self-trust, to build this life so that I am not living for work. I am
Yeah.
working
You
to
actually
live.
have a life. It's interesting. You mentioned the word courage, and I'm reaching over. I have the book. The Courage to Be Disliked talks about that a lot. To be able to, like, you could be aware of something, you could be aware of the change, you could be aware of the fact that you need to be more truthful in your life, but it takes courage to get to that next level. So it's interesting that you chose that word. I
Yeah.
feel like it's not a unique experience, but I feel like the way you approached it was really unique. And then you ended up reinventing, I suppose, as the self-trust coach. Was that like I mean, you said you bought the LLC. Was that for the self-trust coach? You're like, I'm just going to do this. Let's go.
No, not even close.
Okay, tell me.
I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is take a few months off and really build, like, I had that ability and really build my relationship with myself again and see, like, what am I actually about when I pull away from this hospitality industry identity, this like achiever, hardworking identity. I wasn't really ready to release that part, but I was ready to release the, finite defined career and giving myself all to it. Which, by the way, they didn't want that.
Yeah.
No one wanted me to give all of myself to it. No one asked for that, which is another thing to recognize, right? It really wasn't that I was being asked to overwork and underlive. This was purely me. And that's where the ownership was also a piece that has served me so well moving forward. Is I always saw myself as an entrepreneur, even as leading these different teams. I ran it as if it was my business.
Yeah, like an entrepreneur within the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt natural to me to do that. And so owning that that was my cause meant, okay, I'm going to start this business. Still not quite sure what it was yet, but I know I don't want to build it the way I built my business of entrepreneurship. And
Why?
so,
Why? I'm curious. That's interesting.
because it led to overworking and underliving. And so I knew I needed to start this business in a way that fed me, fueled me, let me pour myself into it like I want to, but not at the expense of me, in a way that expanded me, that grew my capacity to serve and to reach new levels.
So what were some of the steps? I'm going to ask you about all the steps that you do for your clients, but I'm really curious about how you got yourself there in the
Yeah.
beginning. So what did you do, right? Like it's almost like you could be like, oh, I got to trust myself more. Were you
Yeah.
meditating? Were you putting parameters on your workday? Were you setting alarms? Were you
Yeah. So
trying to
those
structure
are
your day more? Like what were the things that you did with tactically?
So those would be external. I mean, I did use some of those and I'll talk about that, but those are external boundaries that I was using to control, that I would be using to control myself. And I didn't want to do that anymore.
Got it.
I needed to get to the root of it. And that was really tuning in to me, owning that where I was my doing, and deciding and defining. So that's why it's such a big piece of my work is firm decisions. We have to make firm decisions. And it's our greatest power is decision making. So I started to look at deciding what would that look like to have a business that didn't grow the way I'd grown my career without all of the overworking. And when I recognized what that would look like, because I wanted to be able to scale and grow my business.
Yeah.
And if you build it with hustle and grinding and overworking and underliving, you're going to have to scale that. And that's where burnout is from.
Yep.
And I wanted to.
Or serious health issues. That's how you end up in the hospital.
True.
That's how you end up. I have a couple of friends and we've all been entrepreneurs and we've all sincerely, there's like three of us have had visits to the ER thinking we were having heart attacks, but it was just anxiety. I
Yeah.
find that fascinating, especially with men. Were you experiencing any physical repercussions from what you were doing to yourself at the job? Or was it just, you were just exhausted?
Just like I said, like a shell of myself. And yeah, I mean, I'd gained some weight. I was just unhealthy.
Yeah.
It never resulted in a hospital visit, but that's only by the grace of God, honestly, because, and it certainly would have I mean, I had so many decades of it that I'd probably trained myself into it. So,
Yeah, you're resisting it. So I cut you off. Sorry, keep going. So you start the business, you're trying to figure this, or maybe you got the LLC, but that was like a nugget of the business. Then what?
yeah. So then when I actually left the hospitality industry, I took several months off and I just started paying attention. Like, what is it that is going on? What do I need to heal or just open up to? I felt very shut down. And so at first, I started to listen to a lot of podcasts and I started reading some self help books. And then I recognized that I'm again delegating, I'm outsourcing. So I kept doing that. This was definitely not an overnight thing. While the awareness was overnight, the work,
Dawn, I'm so glad you're saying this, but I'm going to let you finish. This is so good. Yeah, keep going. Go.
yeah. So as I really, I mean, and I am the kind of person at this point of my life that I have a TV on in every room, a podcast in my ear, a book by the bedside, like so much external influence. And then again, I'd have another realization, right? Like a question pops up, like, what if I just listen to myself? And so I did a fast, a consumption fast.
Consumption fast.
Yeah.
Explain.
So no podcast except for if it were like actually I did cut that out too because I was also listening to a lot of true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
But I just stopped listening to podcasts. I quit reading any books that weren't just for fun. I only listened to music and I didn't watch TV. So no news. And actually that continues to this day, by the way. And we can all talk about me having my head in the sand. It's not. You can't go through life without knowing. If you actually talk to other people and have it, I do vote and all of that good stuff, but I just don't stay glued to the news and I don't make it a habit daily.
It's dangerous for you. I think it's,
Yeah.
I always tell a story. Many years ago, I was a guest on a major network, on a major financial show. Facebook had just gone public. And I remember I was asked by a producer to argue that Zuckerberg should step down as the CEO because I had written a blog post saying that a few months prior. And I'm on the phone with the producer and I said, well, I don't really feel that way anymore. He's done a really good job. You know, I mentioned, you know, like a couple of different options for him. And she was like, no, you feel that way. I was like, yeah, no, I did, but I'm kind of on the fence. And she's like, Chris, this is point, counterpoint. There will be another guest that says he's doing a great job. You are the guest that says he's doing a bad job. And then she said to me, it's theater.
Cool.
A producer at a major network, this is
Yeah.
15 years ago, actually articulated that to me.
Huh?
And I'm the nobody talking head guest. And I was like, whoa, I cannot believe that just came out of that person's mouth.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
It is. Totally is.
Yeah. So you did the detox. Was the detox your idea, or was that something that you had read about or somebody else had done, or you just felt organic?
It was an experiment.
Body needed. Yeah. It's just what you needed.
Yeah. It was an experiment that I was going to try. And, you know, if it didn't work out, I wouldn't do it. Like, no big deal. So I was going to try it for 3 weeks, and then I was going to try it for 3 months. And then I can almost embarrassingly say this. It lasted for 3 years. Now,
Amazing.
It's not amazing. Let me tell you why.
Why? That's awesome.
I will say that it was beautiful and I highly recommend doing it. I do not recommend doing it for a very long time because, again, it got to a point where I noticed that I was fearful of what introducing outside voices again would do. You start to think that it's in jeopardy of your wisdom, like as if you're not. So I really enjoyed being in touch with and creating that better relationship with my self-talk because I'd been drowning it out for years. But guess what? It's still running the show.
Yeah.
And accessing just this wealth of knowledge, like instead of proving out in the world that I actually know something and am of service to the world, I actually started to recognize the truth behind that. Yeah. And own it.
Yeah.
But because of that length of time, it started to feel dangerous to let anything in. Like I was at risk of losing that connection. And when I saw that in myself, and it probably went on for, I think a year would have been, right? It went on a little bit too long. But when I noticed that I was kind of clinging to it, that's when it said, oh, let's introduce. And let's not do these big swings, but that's what we do. We're very much all or nothing people. We're very much like go all in or fold completely back. Or I am anyway. It's not a lot of dipping your toe.
But Dawn, look, I think it's a really good lesson for everybody to at least extract some of the noise from your life. And I think sometimes you need to hear it on a podcast or like this, right?
Yeah.
To have somebody say, hey, I extracted it from my life and then it allowed me to trust my source energy. You know, another little anecdotal story, but my Uncle Joe, who used to run marathons back in the 80s, back when I'm like, I don't even know how they did it and how they ended up. Sorry about that. Hold on 1 second, please. We'll cut that out. I should have turned that off. I apologize. But my Uncle Joe used to run marathons back in the 80s, and they used to, you know, track the mileage with their cars. For us now with Apple Watches and all that, we find that to be amazing. And I remember I was telling him a couple of years ago when I was training for the marathon, he's like, what do you do when you run? I'm like, I listen to audiobooks and I love it. It's delicious. Like I eat up these audiobooks. And he didn't push me, but he said, hey, do me a favor. On your next run, when you're training, he goes, just take the earpods out and just report back. Tell me what you think. And it flipped a switch in me and I never ran with earbuds ever again.
Mm.
And it was my thinking time. It was my deep thinking, like the sort of like when you have a problem, you think of the problem and then you kind of let it go and then you let it kind of come back to you again. And I needed to hear it from older, wiser guy that ran without earbuds in the 80s and learned to find joy in that. And he was trusting himself and listening. And he would talk about, you know, his feedback from me was that he's like, look, I would think of problems and I'd come back and I'd have the problem solved and just give it a shot. Game changer, absolute game
Yeah.
changer. So I think your message is wonderful. So you do the detox, you go for 3 years. Oops, did it for 3 years. What happened in those 3 years that made you think it might have been for too long? You said a year probably would have been okay.
Just that kind of graspiness to it, noticing how I was fearful to let anything else in. And particularly when I started to consider guesting on podcasts, that was when I recognized that I was holding so firmly, because I knew that that was a great way to get this message out in the world. And yet part of that meant listening to the podcast to make sure that it would be a good fit, that I would be adding something to their podcast and their audience would be a good fit for what I had to offer. And I had so much resistance to listening to them. I was like, I just don't want to. Can't I just go on podcasts without?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was the grip that I knew was happening. And I said, okay, I'm holding on to this as a protective measure. It's not like I'm stubborn to listen to podcasts in general, right? Of course, I love them. That's why I have one. Um, that was my awareness moment of, okay, it's time to start introducing it in. I am safe. I had to have that conversation with myself, right? Like, it's safe. My access to my wisdom and my relationship with myself is safe now. It's not in jeopardy. It's kind of like when you build a habit and a day comes where you can't do that thing. Say you run every morning, right? And something happens one morning, you can't run. It's not blown, right? Like, you're not never going to run again.
Yeah. It's the problem is the type A overachievers that we are. You get, oh, I broke the streak. Yeah. You're achieving, you're non-achieving.
Yeah, it's that all or nothing thinking. And so I recognized again that in itself, if you recognize the pattern here, was me bringing in now an external boundary to do what only I can really do internally. And so,
Such an important thing. Gosh. It's so funny. I have a dear friend, David Kidder, who I've mentioned a bunch of times on the podcast. He's been great to me. And he keeps pushing me. He's like, what's the one thing that only you can do? Figure that out and you'll be fine. Like the one thing that's unique to you. But I think look, I'm 50. That took me a long time to figure out that that's the question that I need to be asking myself. So
yeah,
I think you're kind of, it's going to sound ridiculous, but you're like doing God's work if you're helping people figure this out and to trust themselves. So
yeah,
so 3 years detox. In those 3 years, is that when you started the business? Like, were you
yeah.
coaching people then during those 3 years?
Coaching my face off, Chris.
Yeah. Tell me. So, okay. So where did you start? Was it like people in the hospitality industry? Like
No,
you knew? No.
I avoided that like the plague. It was only recently that I started recognizing like that, of course I can serve them. I know them in a way that a lot of people don't, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, no. I went and I kind of turned my back again, external boundaries, like just really protective. But I think it was necessary. Like every part was necessary to me being able to serve as well as I do now. I needed those pieces so that I can see it in others as well, because it is so representative. And I knew, like, I got certified as a life coach and a really beautiful certification, and that lasted for a year. And you know, was introduced to this whole new community and made some really beautiful friends. And I also was able to get hired as a contractor for this big coaching company. So I was coaching for over 3 years, 3.5 years almost, 20 hours a week. So I did 6,000 sessions, like, and it was nonstop, 20-minute, 40-minute sessions, like just back to back, without any awareness of what they were going to bring to you that day.
Wow.
So my coaching chops got built real fast.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
You put in your 10,000 hours in like a condensed.
Yeah.
That's
So quickly, which fit what I wanted to do, because there's so many people that are so busy, like second guessing themselves and questioning it. And I don't want to waste any of my energy doing that. Like, I just want to do. Like, I am a person of action. Now, what I've learned through my work and, through my, especially building self-trust and now supporting others and doing the same, is the doing part fueled by self-trust is way different than the doing part when it's not.
Unpack that for me, because I think that that's probably at the fulcrum of everything that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, unpack that for me. Go.
Sure. Yeah. So the doing part, so I always say it only takes three things to achieve anything: make decisions, follow through, have your own back. And in that have your own back piece is evaluating for data, not drama, and celebrating strategically on purpose, because it creates intrinsic motivation instead of relying on external validation and motivation that's not always available to us, right? So the follow through piece is the fulcrum, right? It is the main part, but we're so busy judging ourselves when we don't follow through that we forget to look back at the decision.
Mm.
If you didn't make a firm decision, so many people are like, I want to do this. Oh, yeah, I kind of decided. And now I'm mad because I didn't follow through. I never follow through. I can't trust myself. That's what I hear all the time. I'm like, well, let's just go back to the decision point. It's so unfair to consider yourself wrong for not following through if the decision wasn't firm. Firm decisions lead to firmer follow through. And so we always go to the decision piece. But follow through without self-trust looks like labeling yourself as a procrastinator, as a perfectionist. Like, I hate all the labels. I hate all the talk about saboteurs.
Right.
And that's why the book Master Your Inner Dialogue is meant to create a new way to relate to yourself and to actually make your inner dialogue an ally, like your strongest asset. So when we when we don't follow through and it moves to judgment, that's why the have your own back piece.
Yeah.
Instead of judgment, we evaluate for data, not drama. Okay, I didn't follow through. Let's look at why. Instead of beating myself up about it, let's just see what needs to change.
I love that.
Did the decision, was it just not firm? Was it that I was confusing a desire for comfort over my desire for growth? It's a really good thing to recognize.
Interesting. And then if you really confront yourself with that, I feel like you're kind of dancing around. It's a heavy word, but what I'm feeling is it's almost like extracting the shame.
They're not to be shame, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is, like, I feel like when people aren't addressing the lack of follow through properly and
yeah.
putting emotion on it, that emotion is typically shame. Like, did it again. I blew it again. At least that's my inner monologue.
And what I want instead, I want you to replace shame with radical honesty. Like, I didn't do it because I was telling myself I didn't feel like it. And you know what? That you can continue the conversation. That's the piece of the book, is just keep it going. Like, okay, and that was true. In the moment, I didn't want to. But it makes sense that in the moment I didn't want to, when long term I know I want to. So, I was just paying attention to now me instead of future me that wants more.
So what are some of the tactical things that you use for your clients to help them recognize that? Is it just the conversations with you where you help them identify it, or are you giving them, I know that you have like the success date calculator, and is that part of the whole process?
All of it. It's all these very practical tools that actually shift your relationship with yourself so that you can make firm decisions fueled by self-trust, follow through, and have your own back. So the success.
So that the listeners can you're going to get so many clients from this. People are just going to be like, yes, this is like it. You're saying it to me. I'm like, yes, I need this. This is so good. I don't trust myself.
It's crazy the difference it makes. And I think there's a lot of tools and techniques out there, and I have many, and frameworks. But if we don't get to the root of it, which is the self-trust, it's the same reason why you and I could follow the exact same strategy of a millionaire business person. Like, we could both do exactly what Alex Hormozi says, if you're familiar with him. We'd have different results, and it's going to matter how we move through those strategies. And I am suggesting that self-trust is the strategy that makes all other strategies work. Because if you can follow those strategies by making decisions, firm decisions that are aligned with your values, aligned with what your vision is, and you follow through on that, and then you have your own back through those evaluations for data, not drama, and strategic celebrations, leading you to the next best decision, you create this cycle.
So fascinating. And I'm really excited that you mentioned Hermosi because I just saw him on a podcast and he acknowledged that like 98% of his success is just follow through. That's it.
Yeah.
And he threw out some data that was kind of scary, where it's kind of like, like all these people that start things, like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent actually complete the thing.
Yeah.
And that's where he wins. And he's like, that's where people are successful on it. So
Yeah.
you mentioned a couple of your tools. Can you explain the details of your tools?
Sure. Yeah. And back to what you just said too, though, that is a big part of my movement is what I call do it for data. Just do it for data.
Yeah.
Follow through is everything, and it gives you data to make the next best decision. But if you're not, you can't get results without testing. And so if you do it for data, you get this result that gives you more information. But when we're so focused just on mindset and thinking that you can have it and manifesting without the follow through, useless.
Yeah.
It's basically just dreaming or hoping. And there is no strategy in the world where hope is the main component.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
not at all. So walk
So
me
that,
through, like, give me a case study. Like,
yeah,
Susie comes to you. What do you tell her to do in order to follow through? Like, are there tools that you give to, like,
yeah,
are there checkups? Like, walk me through a case study.
yeah. So we do a infallible goal follow through, basically roadmap is what I call it. And within it are many tools. So the first thing is that we're making those firm decisions, like what, and we have a process. We have to be radically honest. Is this actually firm? Like, this is what it is. This is the decision. And if not, there's a whole framework to go through and how we can firm it up. Then we want to use the success state calculator for deciding when this goal is going to be reached.
Got it.
And maybe it's this huge goal and we're breaking it down into smaller pieces. That's a key point too, right? But we want to use dates, not arbitrary dates that we're going to punish ourselves against. I have done many case studies where if you do it my way, using the success state calculator versus just picking the date because you want it done tomorrow, guess which one gets done faster? This one's going to the success state calculator is going to feel like it's further away, but it's inevitable versus the one that you beat your head up against and it never gets
Pushing
done.
it, then you push it, then you push
And
it.
then
It ends
you
up being 2 years. Whereas
Yeah.
the success date calculator took 3 months that felt far off, but you followed the steps and you got to it. That's cool.
And what's happening as you push it further and further away is you're eradicating your self-trust with every push because you're telling yourself, like, I didn't do it again. I didn't do it again. I'm still not doing it.
Got it. I love it. Okay. So then how do you hold them accountable to that? You pick the success date, and the success date is based on what? You understand what their problem is. You say, I understand the framework. We're going to build the framework together. This is the success date. And then you just back into it and you say, these are the things that I need from you in order to do that.
Yeah. So then we have some work to do, right? Like we're going to set the plan. We're like, what does it take? Which is actually in the success date calculator, right? These dates are not arbitrary. We are looking at, before we set the date, everything it's going to take. And look, you can't know everything, but we're going to make our best guess of what everything it's going to take to achieve it. What do I need to learn? What do I need to hire? What do I need to do? And we're going to just get it all out. We're going to set time amounts to it. Like, is this going to take me 80 hours? Is this going to take me 120 hours? Is it going to take me, we're going to set it to a time. We're also going to go through an obstacle abatement plan. We're going to look at everything that comes up that's going to get in the way. And you know these things. It's interruptions. It's having to run your kids to school. It's like your own brain. We're going to get all the thoughts that normally get in the way. I don't feel like it. This sucks. I don't want to do it.
My neighbor's lawnmower is going while I'm trying to focus. Yeah.
Everything. We're going to get all the obstacles out too. And we're going to move that into the plan so that we can create this true roadmap for what it's going to take to get there. That's going to define the date, the success date. And it's going to be a no-brainer because you're like, this is everything. Then we have an evaluation piece, right? Because of course it's never set it and forget it. We like to think that, but it's not. And so we're working for true success, not for hope. So we're going to evaluate every week what worked in this, not for judgment. You know what? I don't do that well at that time. This is what I've learned. Like I didn't do that. I kept moving it every day. That one task, say it's, writing the email. It doesn't mean you're wrong and you are suck and you can't ever write email. It means maybe I need to stack activities in a way that is better.
Or stacking, yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I need to
stacking for people that don't understand it. Yeah, go.
Yeah. So it's like being honest with yourself. I'm going to say it over and over again about what energizes you and what drains you. And let's stack activities in a way that supports you in getting that done. We're not here to judge whether you hate writing emails or not. We just want to, if that's a true part of your success is writing an email, then let's put it in a way that's going to be working with you and how you work. So is it in the morning where you're just like raring to go? You want to do another task that you just love, like a client session first, and then you write emails because you're kind of riding that high.
Right.
It's working with yourself instead of against. And instead of forcing yourself, it's supporting yourself in a way of getting the things done you want to get done. The other piece of this is comfort plans. So within the comfort plans, our tendency is to want to seek comfort, right? Yes, you're amazing human beings that can do hard things and you are doing them, but we do seek comfort. And so in those moments when you put something on your calendar, we want to anticipate and allow discomfort because we're going to get to it and we're going to be like, don't want to. And when we make that a problem, that's when we start going down the drama route and things get pushed.
Give me an example for that. I want to make sure that I understand that. So
yeah,
go through it one more time because I've never really heard this. So
I know
you got me. I'm paying attention. Go.
Comfort plans are awesome. Okay, so when you say what's something that you just don't like to do, what's not your favorite thing in your business?
For me,
yeah,
any sort of accounting. And it's sort of like handling the bills or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's time to sit down and handle the bills. And you have it on your schedule. And when you sit down, you're supposed to sit down, you're like, no, I don't want to. You may even pretend like you don't know it's time to do it.
Get out of my head, Dawn.
Yeah. And it's because it's uncomfortable. It's something that you're telling yourself you don't want to do. It's not your favorite thing to do. Now, what we know as entrepreneurs, well, really as humans, especially if you're like a parent or have ever run any kind of team, want is not a factor. It's not actually a prerequisite to doing anything. Mm-hmm. We don't have to want to do anything to do it. We do lots of things we don't want. So one is just acknowledging like, yeah, of course, I don't want to do it. It's not a problem, but I do want to get it done. That's the continuing the conversation. The comfort plan comes in place because our default comforts are to avoid, distract, answer emails, go play that game on your phone. Those are default comforts. But what they do is they pull you away from getting it done. And then it isn't done. And it can lead to self-talk, that's a problem. It gets pushed. I mean, really.
You're like, I did it again.
Right. It's just not working.
Again, yeah.
So what we do is we create comfort plans, intentional comforts that honor the fact that this is uncomfortable, but still keep you on track and doing it. So what that could look like, I introduced that the comfort plans can answer physical, spiritual, preparatory, and mental, like 4 different ways, 4 different comfort types. And we just create a whole comfort plan within each of those. And it can be as simple as I like to go get a glass full of crushed ice and a sparkling water. Like that's just a comfort to me. So like, I don't want to write this email, but I'm going to grab that and I'm going to sit down and I'm doing it. So I'm honoring that there is discomfort here.
I got it.
And I'm introducing an intentional comfort to support me while still moving forward. Yeah.
I like it. So you're basically you're allowing for yourself to have that little bit of comfort when you're in the middle of doing the most uncomfortable thing, kind of acknowledging we're not going to let this hijack the day, but you're going to allow it and you're going to be gentle with yourself, give you that one little thing, and then you're ready to go. That's fascinating. I feel like you're kind of hijacking these mental pathways that have been dug so deep in people's brains where they just feel like there's nothing they can do to change it. And you're kind of like introducing more neuroplasticity by saying like, okay, give yourself a little bit of a reward, but then push through the terrible thing and accomplish it. And then you talk about kind of like rewarding yourself. Is that part of that process, right? So you push through, you get I get the accounting done. Then what? Do I celebrate right away?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want it to be a push. Like, it really does matter the language. What all of this is doing, if you recognize the underlying, is we are forming this really solid, strong relationship with ourselves where we're being so honest. We're recognizing what's challenging. We're not lying about it. We're supporting ourselves through it. And we're speaking for our now self that wants comfort, but also for our future self that wants growth, because both exist. And so we're supporting and making it one united front, because what happens when we're pushing and dragging ourselves across finish lines is we are like creating this fracture. That's why I buck up against all the saboteur talk, is it creates this fracturing of our internal space of ourselves. And what we need is a united front. We're going to face enough challenges. We don't need to be battling them internally. We need to like have this really solid, strong, beautiful, united front towards everything we want to accomplish. And we get to be that. It's just that we haven't practiced it.
I love that. I love that. I love that even like me saying push through, you're like, no, not push through. Like, don't use. It's interesting because I feel like my generation, it's almost like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Push through.
Same. I'm the same age as you. Yeah.
They're like, it's like, I feel like Gen Z and millennials, well, I think millennials are feeling the smack of responsibility, but Gen Xers, we kind of wear it as a badge of honor if you're exhausted and you're angry and you're tired and you're whatever. It's like, it doesn't have to be that way. It's not pushing through. It's getting through those things that maybe you don't like as much in a more efficient manner that serves you.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you want the result done.
Yeah.
Like, we've taken work ethic. Like, I love the work ethic that was instilled in me. Absolutely love it. I think it's very, very prevalent in our age group. But I knew it could be still this really strong work ethic, but not at the sacrifice of me. I want to celebrate that. I want it to be something that fuels me, not something that depletes me.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. So when we're talking about the self-trust coach, your mission is what? Is to get rid of that negative self-talk with your clients? Is it to I feel like there's layers of it, which is why it's appropriate for this podcast with a quantum shift. Like, it's a real quantum shift because changing not just your behavior, but changing the manner with which you approach your daily work and the language that you use around the work is that's like a real personality quantum shift. Like, so give me, I guess where I'll land on that, I'm kind of just thinking out loud because I'm admiring the work that you're doing. Can you give me an example of like a glowing case of somebody that you worked with that was going through bumps and bruises and then came out the other end? Because really what I think you're doing is, and I coach as well, I think you're really just shining a light on the fact that many of us do need coaching and do need somebody that you could have this type of conversation with, because it's really not anywhere within the work ecosystem. Like, there are mentors, but they might not be holding you accountable. There are colleagues and bosses, but they might have ulterior motives that don't necessarily properly serve you and feed your soul and your brain and your trajectory. So now, like, brag. Tell me about somebody whose life you changed other than your own, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk really quickly, just one statement about the accountability piece. Like, my goal is never to hold you accountable. My goal is to make you accountable to yourself, to help you see that you are the
That's so good. Okay.
best person to be accountable to, because I'm going to go away at some point. I mean, we can work together for a very long time, but I want I want you to leave this coaching container, this relationship, just flying, knowing that you are your own wings and that you've got it. So, one of the most recent, there's so many, but one of the most recent stories that I just love is a client that came to me so very lost with what to do with their lives. She's a younger client, and she had had this like really great job for that, well, that she was holding on a pedestal, by the way. Come to find out, like, there was a lot of things that weren't great about it, but we can do that. We can make, when we're gone from something, we can make it seem like it's so amazing. And now we don't have it. And that's kind of the space she was in. And she had started to just apply for jobs that were way below her capability, her experience, her skill and knowledge. And then using not getting those jobs as more of a reason to say that, she had no control over her life, that, this is just my lot in life, if you will. So really getting into that, like, acceptance of victimhood a little bit, like being at the mercy of the world instead of the world being your oyster.
Mm.
And so we really just started working on what her self-trust looked like. And what was great, so one of the pieces that I like to use, especially in those cases, I call it the I'm so impressed list. It's another one of my tools, and anyone can do it. So you're listening to this now, you can go and grab one on my website, but also you can just start your own, where you write at the top of a notes on your phone, a document. I like to keep it in Google Docs because I can access it from my phone and the computer. And it just says, I'm so impressed at the top. And you just list everything that you've accomplished, endured, overcome, aided. It's so great. And what happens is, this isn't just like another thing to do. Don't make it drudgery. But when you think of something, just go add to it. And what's beautiful is every time you go to add to it, you're going to see a few things above it, right? And when you're in those moments where you aren't feeling your true power, that when you aren't feeling into like everything that you've done, you're feeling a little down, you're feeling like you don't have control, go look at that list. You have proof. You don't need external validation. Again, it's fine to want it and it's fun, but you have so much proof right inside of you that you're not accessing, of your ability to stretch and grow and achieve and overcome. So that's what we did. Started with that. And just that changed so much.
I mean, Dawn, honestly, just thinking about that, it's like, it feels good.
Mhm.
I feel like, I mean, do you find first that I do think you're doing such good work. I think it's beautiful to remind people to give themselves credit for doing good things. And I feel like too many of us don't. Do you find a difference in gender? Do you feel like women beat themselves up more, men beat themselves up more, like in terms of the demographic, or it's just
Nope.
we're all just globally self-flagellating?
It's universal. The terms used, it can be different. One's quieter sometimes than the other, but really it's pretty universal. And we all think that no one suffers quite like we do. And the truth is we do, but we do so much of it to ourselves. There's enough out in the world that's like going to impact us, that is why that really is my mission, to repair that relationship and have you going forward towards everything you want, knowing that not only can you have it, but you're doing it from a place of internal security and togetherness. So it makes a difference. I didn't think that I had bad internal dialogue, to be honest. Well, first, we know, I've shared with you, I drowned it out for years, so I had no idea what was happening in there. But then also, I got there. Mine was very, I have sort of a dry sense of humor, and it was pretty passive aggressive. Like, some of it sounded like, if you just took the words, it sounded pretty, but
Yeah,
what was
I get what
underneath
you're saying.
wasn't. Yeah. So if you don't identify as someone who like talks mean to yourself, it doesn't mean that you are supporting yourself as fully as you could. So we can always, it's just something that we deserve to put some attention to and to help us, because all the tools and the strategies out there, they're awesome. They work for somebody,
Sure.
or else they wouldn't be out there. Maybe even many people. But the only way it's going to work for you is if you're really clear on what works for you. And we have to start there.
Right. So what's if somebody's listening right now, what's the one thing that you'd want them to take away from this that they could do tomorrow? Is it sort of congratulating themselves for certain things that they do, or you feel like what's that first step
Yeah.
somebody could take to say, like, I'm picking up what Dawn's putting down. I really need to get better at trusting myself. I'm going to, what do you want to see them do tomorrow morning?
Yeah. Well, one, I want you to recognize that it's a choice. So trust is a choice. And once you make it, everything can change. So if you just decide firmly, make firm decisions, that's, step one, th- then you will start to do that. Maybe you do decide to start your I'm so impressed list. It's a great place to start. And I want for those of you out there who are really considering how this could be effective or not, I want to make very clear that this is not fluff. I am not a fluff person, right? This is very strategic. Not only does it impact your whole life, I mean, that's just almost the side effect for what I got into this for. Because
Yeah.
when I started building self trust, it was to make my ability to achieve and reach for bigger things more scalable, because I couldn't keep going the way I was.
Yeah.
So it is awesome. So for those of you who just want to repair your relationship with yourself and build self-trust, yes, do it. For those of you who really just want to achieve more awesome things, yes. You're going to get both, whichever way you start. But just recognize that this is not fluff. It really is necessary. It is the strategy that makes all other strategies work.
I love it. Talk about, are there other add-ons that you're thinking about for the self-trust coaching? Or have you defined your process and you're kind of rinsing and repeating and it's just working and you're able to help a lot of people? It sounds like you have a plethora of clients and the client base is really fantastic and you're changing lives positively. Are there other things that you want to add to your offering? Like, were there mentors, teachers, or books before you did your detox that sort of shaped your worldview? And you're like, hey, I want to get back to that and kind of get people going in that direction? Or you feel like you've pretty well built out the self-trust coaching system?
Yeah, it really is a system. So now we've got like the coaching, and everything is designed to bring you back to you, but it's also very strategic. Like there's a lot of strategy involved. So I call it the follow through formula. And that's where we find the making decisions, the success state calculator, the comfort plans, the I'm so impressed list, the decision making framework. That all lives in this kind of self-paced follow through formula that you could just do on your own. But it's the coaching that supports and makes the difference so much. So I would never say that it's like done, because I learn and grow through myself and through my clients. And so I'm always looking to make things faster and simpler. So it's always in my mind, like, how can I help them get there faster and simpler? So even the follow through formula used to be called the Self Trust Lab, and it's been like tightened up. It's even more effective. It's even more, and it comes through putting people through it and using it myself constantly with everything I do. That is what I follow.
Dawn, how do you keep your own light strong while sort of holding space for others' transformation?
Yeah. I mean, it just lights me up. I mean, this is my mission, right? So
Your dharma. Yeah, it's your dharma. It's
being on it and being able to be immersed in it all day and every day is amazing. So it does light me up, but I'm very, very tuned in to myself. And so if it were all to go away tomorrow, I would be okay. Like
sure. Yeah.
I have my own self trust now. I would call it pretty unshakable, which is the goal. And so it's a constant work. It's not like I can just be done with it, but
Yeah.
I get silence in every day as much as possible. I'm very aware of the noise that I let in. And when I say noise, I don't mean bad. There's beautiful noise out there. There's, amazing voices of other people and entertainment and all of that. But I just call it all noise. If it's not like we all live in the lobby, is what I call it. And then there's an internal room that we can step into, and that's where our inner wisdom. We just have to make sure we're spending some time in that inner room every day, is what I recommend.
What a
So,
beautiful way to think about it. I love that.
yeah. So
Keep
I
going.
just,
Sorry, I interrupted you. I really love that analogy of like being in the lobby and then go in the room
yeah.
and have your quiet time. Yeah.
Yeah, the noisy lobby is beautiful. There's, like, lots of great voices in there. Then there's also some fear and doubt there, but in the inner room, there's really not. It's your intuition, your wisdom, and so spending some time in there, and I do that a lot.
Mhm.
I spend a lot of time in nature. I think that is another piece that can really just connect you to yourself and to your humility, right? And I talk about that a lot too, because we can, as entrepreneurs and leaders, confuse humility with, a lack of ego or, not self promotion. And what I've learned that has been so powerful for me is humility is just truth. And that means being truth about your gifts and your skills and your abilities, as well as your challenges and your flaws. And so it doesn't mean dampening yourself. It just doesn't mean putting yourself above anyone else.
I feel like you organically have gotten to this spot of like in the pocket of being so truthful with yourself. And I keep thinking about the courage to be disliked because it's this very similar path, as well as this is, and I might be confusing the books, but The Way of Integrity with Martha Beck.
Mm,
But when I don't want to ruin this, how in one of those books, they talk about when you're being honest with yourself and really asking yourself, like, what is the one thing that you can do that nobody else can do that will fulfill you if you're being truthful with yourself. And then the last line of it, which knocked me off my chair, was find that one thing that only you can do and do it without the need for recognition.
mm,
And I was like, ooh, that's different because I feel like sometimes you think you're on the right path and you're like, this is going to be, I get to brag about this role or, doing this cool thing. I'm going to tell the world about it and I'm going to do whatever. But it's like, if you could just quiet down and get to your own truth and then extract the need for recognition, which is so difficult, then that's where you should, kind of follow along that line, which I feel like you've gotten there organically just because you went through what you went through. Dawn, how many years ago was this for you? Was this like you mentioned the 3-year detox, so it's got to
mm.
be more than 3 years.
Yeah,
When did that all happen? Where you said I'm
it's
going to sell the car and do all that?
yeah, it's almost 7 years ago now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, God bless. I feel like you're doing incredible work. So for anybody that's listening, now you get to brag, and then this is where you get to promote. How can people that are hearing this that are like, Dawn speaks truth. I need truth in my life. I want to work with Dawn. How can they find you? How can they work with you? Do you have workshops? Do you only work one-on-one? Do you have courses? How can they access what you do?
Yeah, you can find me at theselftrustcoach.com, and there is the follow-through formula there, so that's self-paced. I also just love I call it the strategy snapshot. If you just want a low lift, like, want some truth spoken into your life, it's this really simple. You answer a questionnaire, and then I'm gonna record a video for you and send it to you, and then we can talk about it afterwards, and that's really fun. I've loved getting to know people more, and then we can decide whether that's a good fit to go into Claimed, which is my one-on-one coaching where you actually get the follow-through formula as well. So, yeah, that is the way, and you can also listen to me on the Self-Trust Solution podcast. There's lots of truth spoken there and very short, quick, as the self-trust coach and someone who is into action over just consumption. The episodes are really short, so you could binge listen to most of season 2 within, like, a very short amount of time.
Wonderful. Well, Dawn, it's been a pleasure. I'm so glad that we kind of stumbled upon each other the way that we did. I think you're doing wonderful work, important work. I think it's a lot more important than people realize, because I think there's a lot of suffering out there. And I think people are doing some real damage to themselves. And you're the first mentor, teacher, coach, oracle that I feel like is really just talking about self-trust, and that in and of itself, and how all this beauty kind of is born from it. So I admire the work that you're doing. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yay.